Welcome to this segment of Because You Asked. I'm Barry Nussbaum. Last week, Robert Spencer, one of the world's leading scholars on radical Islam, was nearly killed after giving a speech in Iceland. Here's how he tells his story. After my speech, a young Icelander called me by name, shook my hand, and said he was a big fan. Shortly after that, another citizen of that famously genteel and courteous land also called me by name, shook my hand, and said, F you. We took that marvelous Icelandic greeting as a cue to leave, but the damage had already been done. About 15 minutes later, when I got back to my hotel room, I began to feel numbness in my face, my hands, and feet. I began trembling and vomiting. My heart was racing dangerously. I spent the night in a Reykjavik hospital. What had happened quickly became clear and was soon confirmed by a hospital test. One of these local Icelanders who had approached me, probably the one who said he was a big fan as he was much closer to me than the FU guy, had dropped drugs into my drink. I wasn't, and I'm not, on any other medication, and so there wasn't any other explanation of how these things had gotten into my bloodstream. Thankfully, Robert Spencer survived, and he recovered enough to write the story of how he was poisoned and nearly died, the story I just told you. Today, on Because You Asked, we're going to answer the critically urgent question: why was Robert Spencer poisoned, and why is this story so important? Well, as you know, we've been reporting for months on how free speech in this country in the West has devolved into freedom from speech instead of freedom of speech throughout the West. The anti-Trumpers, the Hillary and Bernie Democrats, the anarchists and Islamists all claim to oppose fascism, and yet fascist behavior is what they behave like. It's the brown shirts in the 1930s Germany all over again. They're violent, vicious, destructive, and loud, and under no circumstance do they support an honest, fair, and open debate on the issues unless, of course, all parties represent the same side of the argument, theirs. They speak of acceptance and tolerance, but no one can match their own intolerance of intellectual diversity and difference of opinion. They speak of unity and of welcoming the stranger while they spread disunity, contention, violence, and so on. And they don't seem to care about anybody else's opinions, especially those who warn them about jihad and Islamic supremacism. So who is Robert Spencer, and why is he so hated by the left that someone would literally poison him in the attempt to quiet his voice? The short answer is Robert Spencer is the expert on jihad in the West. Spencer has led seminars in Islam and jihad for the FBI, the United States Central Command, United States Army Command, General Staff College, the U.S. Army's Asymmetric Warfare Group, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the Justice Department's Anti-Terrorism Advisory Council, and the U.S. Intelligence Community. He has discussed jihad and Islam and terrorism at a workshop sponsored by the U.S. State Department and the German Foreign Ministry. He's a consultant with the Center for Security Policy and vice president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative. On top of that, he's a weekly columnist for PJ Media and Front Page Magazine, and he's written literally hundreds of articles on jihad in papers everywhere. And you may have seen him on the BBC, ABC News, CNN, Fox News O'Reilly Factor, Megyn Kelly's The Kelly File, The Sean Hannity Show, Geraldo Rivera Report, Glenn Beck Show, Fox and Friends, America's News Headquarters, and many other Fox programs. And PBS, MSNBC, CNBC, C-SPAN, CTV, France 24, Voice of Russia, Croatian National Television, and many, many others. Robert Spencer has been a featured speaker at everywhere. University of California, Irvine, Temple University, Dartmouth College, Penn State, UCLA, Stanford, New York University, Brown University, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, University of Virginia, State University of New York, in Binghamton and Stony Brook, Florida State University, DePaul University, the College of William and Mary, Washington University of St. Louis, University of Wisconsin at Madison, and on and on and on. Here are some of Robert Spencer's books. Islam Unveiled, Disturbing Questions About the World's Fastest Growing Faith. Onward Muslim Soldiers, How Jihad Still Threatens the West and America. The Myth of Islamic Tolerance, How Islamic Law Threatens Non-Muslims. The Politically Incorrect Guide to Islam and the Crusades. The Truth About Muhammad, Founder of the World's Most Intolerant Religion. Religion of Peace, Why Christianity Is and Islam Isn't. Stealth Jihad, How Radical Islam is Subverting America Without Guns or Bombs. The Complete Infidel's Guide to the Quran. Did Muhammad Exist? An Inquiry into Islam's Obscure Origins. Not Peace but a Sword, The Great Chasm Between Christianity and Islam. Arab Winter Comes to America, The Truth About the War We're In. The Complete Infidel's Guide to ISIS. The Complete Infidel's Guide to Iran. The Complete Infidel's Guide to Free Speech and Its Enemies, the new book coming out later in 2017. Okay, now you know who Robert Spencer is, and now you know why they want him silenced. No one in America has a more impressive scholarship and production on Islamic jihad than Robert Spencer. He is clearly a threat to the freedom from speech movement that is being enforced on college campuses and in the streets of the Western world. More importantly, he's the enemy of radical Islam. This story is so important because Robert Spencer is educating and warning the West in a loud and consistent voice. In short, Robert Spencer is a hero, and you need to get acquainted with his work before it's too late. Please keep your questions coming to American Truth Project and our social media on Facebook or Twitter. If we select your question, you get a special gift. You can also write to me directly by sending me an email to barry@americantruthproject.org and go to our website where you can sign up to be on our mailing list so you never miss an important episode. We're here to answer your urgent questions because you asked. I'm Barry Nussbaum.